Into the Spider-Verse did such an amazing job of characterizing Miles Morales as a real character in comparison to Michael Brian Bendis's comic book run. But this hyperfixation on Miles came at the detriment of most of the spider people in the movie being static and sort of one-dimensional characters. So when developing Across the Spider-Verse, they decided to elevate one of these side characters, that being none other than Gwen Stacy. So yes, this will be a video covering how Gwen Stacy was evolved from a side character to something far more. All approved by us.
No. Wait. Hey. Wait. Just wait!
Now that I'm thoroughly demonetized, we can begin. This movie spends the first 20 minutes of its runtime dedicated to Gwen Stacy, a character that barely got maybe half an hour in the original movie. We get to see her backstory, which is told not just through reused assets, but actually shown, animated on its own. We get to see what her canon event is and why she ended up taking being Spider-Woman so seriously.
Gwen?
Don't worry.
Who's Gwen?
Everything's gonna be okay.
Don't.
Gwen lost her only and best friend, Peter Parker, because he was bullied so much he took a serum to be like Gwen, to be a superhero. And in the midst of all of this, not only did she lose her best friend, but now her father, the captain of the police in her New York City, is hunting her. He doesn't know it yet, but he is hunting his own daughter. And Gwen really internalizes this, and she is clearly frustrated by it. Every day is extremely hard for her, especially being away from her only other friend that she has made since Peter passed, being Miles Morales, and that leads her to butt heads with her father a lot.
She killed your friend.
You don't know that.
What do you mean I don't know? I do know that. You know, I was there. She ran from the
Maybe
scene.
she didn't have a choice.
Look, I got a job to do, Gwen.
It won't bring him back.
Gwen is very emotionally vulnerable at this point in her life, and she is extremely upset, especially when it comes to the fact that her father figure, whom she still loves, disapproves of everything she does. And even though Gwen tries to mask this with humor and comedy and just throws herself into being Spider-Woman, it doesn't really work. And this time, she happens to be fighting someone not from her own dimension, which prompts everyone's favorite Spider-Man 2099, to come in and try and clean up the mess. But for Gwen, this is looked at as a sort of way to escape all of her problems that she is currently facing. And it also allows her to see someone who is just like herself, another Spider-Woman who seems to be working with Miguel, who seems to have everything figured out, as a person who would maybe even understand and sympathize with whatever Gwen is currently dealing with. And oh wow, she is pregnant and still fighting crime.
How's to say bye to Charlene and the kids?
Fuck them kids.
Fuck the kids?
Yeah.
Getting back on track, when Gwen finally is able, with the help of the Spider Society, to take down the rogue Vulture, her web shooters are toast, and now she is being faced with her father. Her own father is pointing a gun in her face and basically telling her to get on the ground and to give up. And so Gwen decides to take a leap of faith and decides to reveal her identity to her father in a last-ditch hope that he would be okay with this and that maybe he would understand why Gwen is doing what she's doing. But unfortunately, that isn't always the case.
Dad. I've thought about telling you, but you can see why I didn't want to. You can see why I didn't want to tell you. I didn't murder Peter. I I didn't know it was him. I didn't have a
How
choice.
long have you been lying to me?
All Gwen's dad cared about was the fact that Gwen Stacy had lied to him, and he didn't seem to care why she was doing what she was doing. In fact, he was still more than willing to take her into police custody, and it was only when Miguel O'Hara decided to step in and intervene that she was saved from this. And now this presented her with a dilemma: to leave and decide to go be with the Spider Society and to fall in with potentially an even worse crowd for herself, or stay with her father and face the consequences. So Gwen decides to fall in with the Spider Society, and more specifically fall in with Miguel, who is almost an allegory for a toxic father figure in the realm of this movie. For Gwen specifically, she is oftentimes afraid of him, afraid of the consequences that he will dish out, and she is oftentimes really just cast aside by Miguel and just given orders and told what to do. Now, whether or not you believe Miguel is correct with his whole canon event theory, that's a debate for another video. But from the way I see it, Gwen jumped from one toxic situation to something even worse. So when Gwen was with the Spider Society, the first chance she got, she went to go see Miles. Miles has been Gwen's only motivation and sort of salvation from what she is currently going through. She views Miles as one of her closest friends, and even if that meant disobeying direct orders from Miguel, she went to go see Miles. Gwen was really only supposed to be on Miles's Earth to find out who the Spot was, and to sort of find him and stop him before he started dimension hopping and essentially destroying the multiverse. But Gwen decided instead to go see Miles and let the Spot get away. But of course, Miles is going to follow Gwen when she decides to go track down the Spot, and Gwen decides to bring him to the Spider Society in order to hopefully try and get him in, but this goes horribly wrong, and it's the main reason I don't like Miguel at all. Because when Miguel figures out that Gwen had brought Miles, and when Miles inevitably escapes custody from the Spider Society, Miguel kicks Gwen out, just plain and simple. For going to see Miles and letting the Spot go, Gwen is immediately kicked out of the Spider Society and left with nowhere to go except her home universe, where Miguel knows the situation is, for lack of a better term, really screwed up. Like, she has to go back to face her father, who wants to put her in prison. But I think this provides for one of the greatest moments in this movie, in which Gwen and her father must not only reconcile, but also reconnect.
And I didn't. I can do all these things, but I can't help the people I love the most, and they can only know half of who I am. So I'm completely on my own. And now I don't even know what the right thing is anymore. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I know I can't lose one more friend.
It takes this genuine and hard conversation for Gwen to have, her finally opening up to her father fully and being vulnerable, finally gets him to understand why she does what she does.
Because I quit.
When?
About halfway through your big speech.
It was only through being truly vulnerable with her dad that Gwen was not only able to change the course of her dimension, but was also able to change the course of her relationship with her father. You see, all Captain Stacy's in the multiverse are set to die. It's a canon event. But by Gwen opening up to her father, she got her dad to stop being Captain, and may have just saved his life in the process. Gwen is far from being a perfect character in this movie. She, for me, has her fair share of frustrating parts, but I feel like I can understand them every single time they come up. Her actions aren't too dissimilar to what I would have done as a teenager in her shoes, and all of this culminates in Gwen making the best decision she could possibly make in going to support Miles and basically going to go save the multiverse her way, not Miguel's way, not anybody else's way. And that starts with going to go get her best friend, Miles Morales. And that is how you evolve a side character. So that was Across the Spider-Verse. One of my favorite films, period, not just animated or anything. I think it did an amazing job evolving Gwen as a character, and I'm more than excited to eventually talk about Miles and his half of this story. And if you liked this video, liked it, if you want to leave a comment about your favorite part of the Spider-Verse saga so far, go ahead and do that below. If you like my videos and want to support me, I have a Patreon where you can see these videos early and unedited. And if you'd like to throw me a sub, that's amazing too. You all have a nice day. I'll see you guys next week.